They said they really lost their confidence. I watched them. They're really screwed up. I watched this MSNBC, which is a threat to democracy, actually. They're stone cold mean, but they're stuttering. They're all screwed up. They're all mentally screwed up. They don't know what. Their ratings have gone down the tubes. I don't even talk about CNN. CNN's sort of like, I don't know, they're pathetic, actually. But MSNBC was mean. Their ratings are absolutely down. This Rachel Maddow, what does she have? She's got nothing. Nothing. She took a sabbatical where she worked 1 day a week. They paid her a lot of money. She gets no ratings. I should go against her in the ratings because I'll tell you, she gets no ratings. All she does is to talk about Trump, 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 Trump. All different subjects, Trump this, Trump that. But these people are really, I mean, they lie. They shouldn't be allowed to lie every night. They are really a vehicle of the Democrat Party.
Oh, my God. What a morning it is. By the way, your pieces are so great this week. The one you just did, A World Without Accountability, as the felonious Trump removes all guardrails. It's our battle to save democracy. I've been saying all morning, Stephen, as depressing as these last even just few days have been, and certainly this last month, all of these acts of resistance and courage are also inspiring, aren't they?
I've been taking as much nourishment and strength as I possibly can from the voices of opposition. The governor of Maine has been fantastic. Yep. Chris Murphy has been great in recent days. And then you have people around the world who are speaking out. And, look, they're on the front lines of the same thing that we are. And that's, that's something we need to notice and honestly take strength from.
Stephen, I just said this earlier about Germany. Of all places, CS tweeted, the 84% turnout in Germany is staggering. It shows that German voters appreciated the gravity of the efforts by the Kremlin and the White House to influence the results and got up off their asses to make sure they didn't succeed. I mean, let's make that happen in America, huh? Can you imagine if we had 84% turnout, right?
Well, 77 million people voted for Donald Trump that got him into this office. And, as many Americans chose not to vote. Yeah. I mean, so that remains, at the heart of our problem, that needs to be fixed. But, the people in Germany, they didn't want J.D. Vance and Donald Trump telling them that they should align themselves and embrace the neo-Nazi party.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a weird world we're living in.
Yeah, right. They had to say no thank you to Nazis again. But you just, you said it. You write here, how can he be a real king if there are people in the government doubting him or worse, blowing the whistle? The military purge is just the latest elaboration of his plot to squash the possibility that naysayers will question him, including the removal a month ago of some 18 inspectors general at virtually every key government agency. I was saying that of everything. That seems the most terrifying thing, is him firing the military lawyers and anyone that could stop him from illegal orders.
I mean, as if it wasn't enough that the Supreme Court gave him, near total immunity, that he now needs to get rid of every watchdog, every watching eye, every professional that might question him or push back in some way. And you're right. I mean, that it's focused, now on the military with his henchman, his obedient servant, Pete Hegseth, who's ready to get rid of these very experienced professionals and put in place these sycophants. And when you strip away the lawyers, what are the illegal acts that you're preparing for?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, so many good points on Twitter. Joe said Trump extorting Ukraine in our name while they suffer is like a war crime in and of itself. Yeah. I mean, it's just all these things that we've never seen before, right? Why? Why would Ukraine owe us all of their minerals? Like, it's just, go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, he pretended that he thought, that he was going to be the guy that was going to end all wars, and he was going to be the guy that demonstrated that America doesn't need to be so engaged with the rest of the world. And meanwhile, I mean, all he's been doing for the last month has been, touting his imperialist ambitions.
Yeah.
And this act I mean, I think it's a betrayal of democracy, and it's a betrayal of America, and it's a betrayal, obviously, of Ukraine to now sort of turn against Ukraine in his, surrendering to Vladimir Putin. But the thing is that when he does this, he empowers all of the worst people around the world. It lets Putin know that he can keep going. And that puts all of our democratic allies in danger.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, Robert Reich said a reminder that Elon Musk's corporations were promised $3 billion across nearly 100 different contracts last year with 17 federal agencies. While Doge cuts essential services for you, Musk is getting a taxpayer-funded windfall. And if I'm watching correctly, these Republican town halls with Republican representatives, people are starting to get it. It smells like a revolution to me. They're, watching this as you write. Yes, the circus is back in town. Pretend dividend checks and chainsaws, complaints about DEI hires and woke culture, cries of fraud and abuse while committing fraud and abuse. Whatever it takes to dismantle the government, cut programs to help those in need, and further enrich the richest among us. This is how revolutions start, right?
Yeah, yeah. And look, we are witnessing the rise of oligarchy, the rise of kleptocracy. We're watching it with Elon Musk and obviously with Trump cheering him on, and all of this talk of this, Doge, this Department of Government Efficiency committed to waste, fraud, the removal of waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, I think you said it right. I mean, he's been busy undermining all of the entities within the government that have been investigating his companies.
Yep. You said, meanwhile, Trump posting on Truth Social, "Long live the king," with an image of himself wearing a crown, firing thousands of civil servants trying to do their jobs, running the world upside down by abandoning America's democratic allies, threatening our neighbors with mad imperialistic plans of invasion, or renaming the Gulf of Mexico, banning reporters whose media companies won't go along with his name change, calling Ukraine's courageous president a dictator, all while making a list of concessions that he thinks will please the murder thug in Moscow and end the war in Ukraine. But it feels like, Stephen, that a lot of it's blowing up in his face. Thank God. I mean, just with look at how Europe has come together as one. Our allies.
Yeah,
go ahead.
The new chancellor in Germany, elected last night, Friedrich Merz, and it was specifically talking about that Germany now needs to dramatically expand its military budget because it can no longer count on America. I mean, this is illustrative of the environment that he's created. And, for anyone who thinks, well, okay, America's been too engaged in the world and spending too much money doing that. Well, all that this does is make America less safe.
Yeah.
And put us more at the mercy of the extremists. And that's, that's the part of this that I do think people are getting.
Yeah.
Wherever they are, I mean, you're suddenly having even Republican voices that are raising doubts about Trump talking about Zelensky as a dictator, which is ludicrous, or that the Ukrainians started the war, which is ludicrous. And I think people get this a little bit. Look, we don't know where is this line where people said that they've had enough. We see rumblings. I agree. We see that people are wanting to do something, and we see that taking place a lot of ways. I think that the line will be if he starts ignoring the rulings of the courts.
Yeah.
At that point, it's saying that the game is up.
The people I trust, Lawrence Tribe and Adam Schiff are saying we are in a constitutional crisis. You can call it whatever you want. We're in it already. I mean, I have to say, AOC was at a federal workers rally. She said, Medicaid is not for sale. NASA's not for sale. The post office is not for sale. America's not for sale. We have an obligation to resist kings. We outnumber the oligarchs, and they can be overwhelmed. And that's right. What it is starting to feel like. 60 Minutes last night, God bless them. Tonight's 60 Minutes describing the actual fascism that is infiltrating our government agencies through Musk's illegal activities. I mean, boy, if people weren't paying attention, they're like, I don't do politics. It seems like they're paying attention now, right?
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, I don't know about you. I watched the SAG Awards last night and heard the speech of Jane Fonda, and
yes.
God bless her. I mean, she's 87 years old, and she took she took her minutes winning this Lifetime Achievement Award to talk about the danger that we're in and to try to, in essence, rally the troops and say, please understand that this is an urgent moment and it requires your attention. It requires your community. It means not being isolated. It means protecting the most vulnerable among us. And it means, recognizing this isn't like, the documentaries that you've watched from the past where Americans were in danger and some people stepped up. Well, this is your moment. And, I mean,
and I love that, woke just means you give a damn about other people, and we have to stay in community and stay engaged.
It's not complicated.
Yeah. You just finished by saying Trump, a convicted felon and sociopath who's dedicated his life to evading the law, heard the Supreme Court's message loud and clear. That puts pressure on each of us to do our part to be the guardrails through our voices, our demonstrations, possibly our national strikes in the months that lie ahead. I guess that'll be the silver lining if it wakes this country up in a way it's never been awoken. I mean, it's so funny. My friend just said your other piece, Stephen. My friend was just saying this yesterday. We were chatting. Your piece is called "Rooting Against Trump's America." We should take inspiration from opponents to this fascist regime wherever in the world we find them. And she was talking about she's like, hey, just like I'm glad Canada won the hockey thing. Like, and you can understand them booing the national anthem as much as we love America too, and it's our country. You realize they're booing Trump.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I tried to say as much as anything, if you love your country, if you believe in democracy, if you value equality and justice and, all of the progressive things that have built a better America, then maybe when you hear Canadians booing the singing of our national anthem, you can actually take nourishment from it because it tells you that there are friends out there who understand that what's happening is not right.
Yeah. Well, and this was your most chilling line when you were talking about Germany's, as you mentioned earlier, Germany's president. You said we're clearly going to experience more support for human values from Germany's top leadership than from America's current leaders. I mean, what my dad and others that served in World War II would think, I can't even imagine. Stephen,
I mean, would I have expected that I would be encouraged by a German chancellor saying we're going to dramatically increase our defense budget, our military budget, right? There was a time we were, asking the Germans not to have a military budget, right? Because they were the danger in our world, and with great trauma that 80 years later, it's as if many millions of Americans have lost any memory or any capacity to understand the danger that we're walking into right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned the Mexican president. She's fantastic. But I just love how you say, I'll be damned if I'm going to stand by or remain silent during this hostile takeover of our government and its rejection of what makes America a special place. There's an America I know and love, and there's Trump's America. I will keep looking for signs of opposition from wherever in the world there are pro-democracy humans who see and reject what's happening here. And you mentioned J.B. Pritzker. We played a bunch of his speech. I mean, it was fantastic. And it's funny, he told this story at Chicago Sexy Liberal about how, he swallowed his pride during the pandemic to try to get help for Illinois. Yeah. And he said, it turns out Trump's promises were as broken as the BiPAP machine he sent us instead of ventilators. He told us that in person. He said he sent me a bunch of broken machines. So you're saying, going along, but you say it best, going along to get along does not work. Just ask Trump-fearing red state governors who are dealing with the same cuts that we are. And that's, I read a tweet earlier, Stephen, someone said none of us are going to get out of this unscathed, right?
No, I think that's right. And look, I mean, some of us are, more secure in whatever ways, you have money, you have family, you have love in your life, you have the ability to eat every day. I mean, the basic things that provide you the security that you need. And if that's true, then it's even more incumbent upon you to think about, your fellow, your neighbors and your more vulnerable fellows that may need your support.
No one loves me, but no one loves me, but that's a story for another day. I got other stuff. Let me just read you to you before we finish, because you are fantastic. You just said the seed that grew into dictatorship in Europe a lifetime ago didn't arrive overnight. It started with everyday Germans mad about inflation and looking for someone to blame. Sound familiar? If you think I'm overreacting, sounding the alarm too, you're quoting Pritzker here, but just, when he talks about how quickly the Nazis did it,
Right.
the amount of time, and he, Pritzker concluded with tyranny requires your fear and your silence and your compliance. Democracy requires your courage. You said solid advice from the governor, advice we should remember as we root against Trump's America in the tough days ahead. That's a great way of putting it, Stephen. We're rooting against Trump because we root for America. This is not Rush Limbaugh saying, I hope Obama fails. This is saying, I hope fascism and cruelty fail. Right.
That's right. And if I can be counterintuitive for a moment, I remain weirdly hopeful.
Yeah.
Because I do think that in this desecration that's going on and the violations that we can see and that will be seen more clearly, that what it does is it gets people clearer about what they're fighting for, right? What's important. And I'm hoping, that you and I and all the other people who have the ability to kind of depict what's happening can also sort of paint a picture of the future in a way that reminds people what they're trying to get to, and that freedom isn't free, liberty isn't something that you can take for granted. That's being proved to us right now, and there's an opportunity, I think, to actually, build a vision of what that future can be.
Let me counter your counterintuitive point by saying, no, I'm just kidding. I agree with everything you say. That's why I have you on. Oh, hey there. It's Stephanie Miller. If you're like me and you love sharp political insight, pointy, you like it pointy and sharp, bold opinions, and a touch of humor to make sense of these crazy times, have I got some fantastic news for you. The Political Voices Network is now on Substack. This is your new go-to for the best in independent media. We're talking about my show streaming daily with episodes on demand, the fearless of journalism of Brian Karam, the brilliant side-splitting satire of John Fugelsang, the unrelenting working-class advocacy of Rick Smith, and so much more. Here's the best part. Subscribing is so easy. You can join for free or go to the extra mile. Support these incredible independent voices by signing up for a full subscription starting at just $8. You'll get access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and a chance to directly fuel fearless, unfiltered media. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Hit that subscribe button and become part of the movement keeping truth alive in an era of corporate media overload. Every subscription helps, especially yours. One more time, that is politicalvoicesnetwork.com. Sign up now. Do it.